In the article, Three Perspectives of Organizational Communication, three different theories of organizational communication are discussed: classical management, human relations, and human resources. At the beginning of this paper, the author discusses the idea that theories are just theories. They're just ideas. They also have different problems, and he defined these different problems as the three Ps. He says that theories are partial. They are partial to one certain idea. Excuse me. And they serve the needs of that idea. They are partisan, which they serve only one group of people. And third, they are problematic. They don't solve all the needs that they're addressing, and they're not the only answer. Although theories have these three problems, they can give us insights about the past, and they can give us a springboard on which to discuss current problems we have today. The author said that we can use the three ideas, the three theories that we read within this paper, to figure out how those led to the form of organizational communication we have today in our society. So first of all, classical management. This looks for rational ways to organize within an organization. One of the first ideas within classical management was the idea of scientific management. This is the view that organizations are kind of like machines, and that they can be analyzed scientifically in order to create more efficient work and produce more while cutting costs. Workers within organizations are now looked at as an ends to a mean that can be manipulated and changed in ways in order to increase production and cut costs and to work fast. Another idea within classical management is the idea of classical management. This provided a formula for making organizations work efficiently. This is still going along with the idea that organizations are machines and that you can do certain things to them to make them more productive. So the five different elements of classical management are planning, organizing, goal setting, coordinating, and evaluating. It was believed that if you applied these five principles to an organization, that the organization would work better. It was like adding WD-40 to a rusty wheel. So there were problems noticed within organizations. The problems were that employers were starting to be kind of unfair with the way they hired and fired people. They kind of based them on personal reasons rather than ability. So this led to the idea of bureaucracy. This was created to treat people more fairly. New structures were created within organizations so that this would happen, so that people would be treated fairly. 6 different elements of bureaucracy are that there's hierarchical organization within an organization, there's a division of labor among people within organizations, there are rules to govern performance, there's a separation of work and private life, people are employed based on their qualifications rather than for other reasons, and work was now viewed as a career instead of just work, as a life career. The problem with the theory of classical management was that people are now alienated from the work that they're doing. They're just one part of a machine that is focused solely on production and efficiency rather than on the people who work there. This problem led to the idea of human relations. So during the Great Depression, lots of people were losing jobs. Therefore, they relocated to places that would provide them jobs. These places of industry, these companies within these places began to take advantage of the people who were desperate for work, and they made them work in terrible conditions. This led to the development of labor unions which fought for the rights of the workers. Human relations is way different from classical management, because classical management looks at organizations as if they are machines, while human relations looks at how organizations are really a system of relationships. Human relations, the theory believes that good relationships within organizations can lead to productivity. this was based on an experiment called the Hawthorne experiment that they carried out. So the problem with the human relations theory is that it focuses solely on the needs of the workers rather than the needs of the organization and the structure of the organization. So this led to the human resources theory. So as time went on and World War II came around, lots of jobs were being created and new jobs were being created. New jobs that were research jobs were being created. People were researching work, production, management, and they came up with the idea of human resources. So human resources focuses on the organizational structure as well as the people that are working within organizations. So it's focusing on how employees can be served, yet organizations can still be productive. So the first studies within human resources were on different styles of management. They claim that workers have two basic needs, which are to avoid pain and to grow psychologically. And they believe that different forms of management can fulfill these different needs, and that organizations can still be productive through this. It was also discussed how sometimes employees' decision-making can be limited by the constraints that management puts upon them. Yet, at the same time, constraints are a good thing. This is discussed in institutional theory. It talks about how the constraints within organizations keep them in good standing with the community and the customers that they have. So these two conflicting ideas led to different studies, which led to the idea that, yes, workers have needs. These needs kind of define the situations that they are in. It creates a symbolic construction of reality. So what they're doing is based on what interests they have. Employees, they say, are thereby motivated by symbolic motivation. That fulfills the specific needs they have, that they define their experiences by. Some examples of symbolic motivation could be them feeling a part of their workplace and feeling like they're part of a big group together with people, or they could be rewarded with bonuses maybe to help take care of their families, which is also another need that they have, or interest they have. Although this is the ideal way to run organizations, human resources theory is kind of hard to obtain at times. So it's a really good idea, but it's hard to do. It seems that within this reading, each of the theories discussed, they had weaknesses, but the weaknesses that each theory has, the next theory created that weakness into their strength. For example, classic management had too much focus upon the organization as a machine and not focus at all on humans within the organizations. So the human relations theory kind of took on that problem and made that their strength. They made the focus of their theory on the people rather than on the organization. So they had that weakness of not focusing on the organization. So then we have the theory of human resources, which kind of finds a balance in between the organizational structure as well as the human needs within organizations.